a breaking point before acting. Here.
To date, things were going quite well, but I would ask the members, the member for Edmonton West, the member for St. Margaret South Shore, please. Don't speak unless the chair recognizes you. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Use every tool at our disposal to address housing affordability. We meant it. The Minister of Housing recently announced that the post-secondary institutions can now access the Apartment Construction Loan Program for low-interest financing to build student housing. This builds on our work to find innovative and bold ideas to accelerate construction, including unlocking over 500,000 new homes through the Housing Accelerator agreements. More examples of the federal government in action.
Very good.
The Honourable Member for Burnaby South.
Doesn't get it. Quelle surprise! Le premier...
What a surprise. The Prime Minister broke yet another promise. The renoviction rate in Canada is at a record high, and yet he is refusing to tackle major investors like he promised. Why does the Prime Minister say one thing during the election campaign and then defend his friends' profits once elected? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we are taking action on a number of fronts. So we're promoting the construction of housing and co-ops by eliminating the GST on construction. We're ensuring that more houses are built faster, working closely and directly with the municipalities. We're helping Canadians save to build a home with the tax-free savings account for the purchase of a first home. There's more work to be done. I invite all governments across the country to be bold with us to improve the cost of housing and the construction of affordable housing.
From Regina Capel.
The Prime Minister must still have sand in his ears from his Jamaican vacation. That must be why he can't hear the outcry from Canadians suffering from his carbon tax. While he was lining up at the all-inclusive, Canadians were lining up at food banks, and grocery prices jumped again, 38% higher than baseline inflation. Now, Common Sense Conservative Bill 234 will help bring prices down by taking the tax off of farm production. The only problem, Liberal senators gutted the bill.
Yep.
Will the government reject the Senate amendments so that the tax can come off and food prices can come down?
Yes.
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, our government absolutely understands that the housing and the cost of living are challenges for Canadians. That is why we are aggressively working across the country to build more homes faster. The Housing Accelerator Fund, with more than 30 agreements in place across Canada, will lead to 500,000 new homes being built. But the question, Mr. Speaker, is what will the Conservatives cut? They know how to cut, they don't know how to build. And what Canada needs right now is builders.
The Honourable Member from Regina Capel.
We'll cut the waste and mismanagement that's driving up inflation in the first place, like the infrastructure bank, like high-priced consultants, and like sending money to the Asian infrastructure bank to build projects overseas instead of here at home.
Yeah.
But the question was about the carbon tax and why the Prime Minister is so pathologically obsessed with it. He doesn't care that Canadians are going to food banks, or that mothers are watering down milk, or that seniors are skipping meals. He even sent one of his ministers to go bully Liberal senators into gutting the bill. So once again, will they reject the Senate amendments so that the tax can come off farmers and food prices can come down?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
You know, Mr. Speaker, when the Conservatives talk about working families, everyone knows those are crocodile tears. This is the party that has voted against early learning and child care, a revolutionary national program which is bringing down costs for hundreds of thousands of families across the country and allowing women to go to work. These Conservatives have voted against the Canada Child Benefit, a huge support for families across the country. And, Mr. Speaker, they're going to vote against dental care, too.
Excellent.
The Honourable Member from Foothills.
Today, the Prime Minister has an opportunity to help families
and help families struggling with high food costs. Bill C-234 is back in the House after Liberal-appointed senators delayed and gutted that bill. This is a common-sense Conservative bill that will give carbon tax carve-out to farmers and ensure that Canadians have access to affordable Canadian-grown food. But when the Prime Minister quadruples his carbon tax, farmers will pay $1 billion a year, driving up food costs even higher. So will the Liberals reject the Senate amendments, take the carbon tax off farmers, and lower food prices for Canadians?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Let me tell you what is common sense for working families across our country. It is common sense to have a national system of early learning and childcare with fees reduced by 50% across the country and down to $10 a day in 7 provinces and territories. It is common sense to support hardworking families with the Canada Child Benefit that has lifted millions of children and families out of poverty. And it is common sense to do what we're going to do this year, which is provide dental care to our seniors, having provided it to our children. The Conservatives oppose every single one of those things.